we walked up the village, we were first told that we could not go without our friend from Nongriat to escort us. But he changed his mind and reminded us not to touch the forest on our walk up to the top of the hill. When we reached the top, we sat down to rest. Our friend from Nongriat passed us with the other man from Kerala. They wouldn't speak to us. Later in Sora, the man from Kerala came to George and gave him 500 rupees, saying that he wanted to avoid some trouble. We didn't hear from him again after that. A friend from Kerala later told us that this man had traveled with him from Nepal. For most of his life, he had worked in companies overseas where Indians were always paid less than Westerners, even when their qualifications and experience were superior to those in their co-workers. In response, he had formed a dislike for white people. We recalled that when people asked who we were when we were with him, he would not say friends, but rather call us tourists. Against such things I cannot judge. There has been much wrong inflicted upon the people of India, and now the same countries that inflict these wrongs have formed the standard laws for human rights and control regulations for global trade. Our friend says they are fucking us in the ass, and they think that if they do it with a smile on their face, we should enjoy it as much as they are. We stayed in Sora for a few days. I had become very ill again, and my stomach was a mess. I spent a few days in bed. We moved to Shillong. On the way there, I noticed large limestone quarries wherein I found no machinery other than iron bars and sledgehammers. Men slowly picked away at the rock. Sora had a large facility dedicated to the production of cement. In Shillong, we stayed in a place called Ila Cottage. There, the owner was a talkative man who claimed that his grandfather was a wealthy and famous Western man. He apologized many times for the lack of Western toilets, as he had just opened his homestay. He was so talkative in the evening that eventually his family came and bid him to go to bed. We spent some time wandering through the markets of Shillong, which, in part, are made up by broad streets lined with vendors and narrow, dirty alleyways lined with small stalls, whose owners crawl across the counter and sit within during market hours. This maze of merchandise is bewildering, and one can never be certain where one will exit after a few minutes' walk within the bustling crowds within. With my stomach so upset, I navigated these strange environs in a dazed state, looking for food for our upcoming camping trip. One day we went to the pine forest, and we all sat together. Our friend from Kerala, our friend from Germany, George, and I. Our friend from Germany was wearing on the Kerala man's nerves. The difference in culture, expectations, and general ideas concerning the economic difficulties and causes in India were a point of tension. The man from Kerala nearly always spoke about this. The girl from Germany would be upset at paying more than the cheapest price for goods and the different standards in construction. She would tell the man from Kerala to stop talking. He would continue praising his own culture and harshly reprimanding Western countries for their past actions in India and their current judgment and continued abuse of the workforce. I have heard no man of India speak so passionately of these issues, most being given to humility or inferiority complexes. I said that I love India, but I would like to stay here. The Kerala man said to me, "Then, make this your home." I said I would not know how to survive. He was outraged. He said, "The ancestors of your people came here and stole and raped and destroyed, and still children and women live on every day in this place in lives through hardships and discomfort, and you say that you would not be able to survive?" Tears rose in my eyes. It was all too true to deny. "Yes," he continued, "feel their pain. You can see their burden." I was in a fit of tears at this stage. His tone softened, and he offered consolation. I took his hand in mine and held it as I cried. I felt a deep remorse for the children of India. Looking into his face, the eyes that had just burned with passionate rage were now loving and kind. He offered me forgiveness for the entitlement that had loomed in my statement and haunted the past of our two races. If those women, men, and children suffer, I am no more worthy than to suffer with them. Sometimes here, a family will run up to you, hand you their child and ask for a picture with you. Or someone will stop you in the street and tell you, "You are beautiful," and look into your eyes. Our friend wants for his people to not lead their lives feeling like white people are better. Our friend from Germany was dwelling near her date of departure from India. She saw George, our friend from Kerala, and I onto our sumo when we said goodbye. We were heading to an area just an hour north of Shillong where we were told we could find good camping. We were dropped off near Nongpo. We wandered into the woods, which we presumed were part of the bird sanctuary. We were seeking out some remote, undisturbed area, but most of the land in this area is used for farming or reserved as sanctuaries for wildlife. Since it was getting dark, we took an old lane into the forest and found an abandoned cement building nestled within a dense bamboo patch. Nearby, we could hear children laughing and the sound of a ball bouncing. We were not far from others, but we hoped that we could pass the night concealed by darkness within this small building. Inside, we made a small camp, had a fire, cooked dinner, and placed a candle in an old green glass bottle that cast flickering light upon the dull walls that were slowly being explored by termites with voracious appetite. Outside, the bamboo played in the wind, creating noises like the footsteps of an animal too hasty to come silently. George woke up and immediately vomited. We had to move quickly from our camping spot within the empty building because we were unsure of how often the area was trafficked. On our way out, we passed a cafe where we were welcomed in despite the barking of several dogs at the door. We sat down and had a cup of tea with the locals. They were happy to have visitors and would not allow us to pay them for the tea. We decided that morning to move to the neighboring state called Nagaland. We went to the main road and I asked a passing vehicle for a ride to the nearest bus station. Soon we were on our way to Guwahati in Assam to get a bus to Nagaland. We spent an hour looking for a guest house and we booked online. We asked someone nearby if they had heard of it. He said it had closed some time ago because of trouble caused by our bike gang. We went inside to a place our friend from Kerala had stayed before. My stomach was slowly recovering and George was in bed all day. I went shopping for hiking equipment, as I only had a shoulder bag at the time and a pair of shoes I had bought from the wedding that were quickly falling apart. The next day we walked around the city and spent some time by the river watching the kites and the crows. In the afternoon we came across an acquaintance from the Ela guest house. We met him and his local friend briefly before getting a taxi to our overnight bus to Dimapur. By the time we got in the taxi, we were running late. Luckily, our driver was quite experienced and gained us much time by weaving through the traffic skillfully. In the morning, we arrived in Dimapur.